been reading through the plagues, and I mentioned in a previous thoughts video about how God made the plagues more intense as they went along. There was the river turned to blood. I guess you wouldn't call this necessarily a plague, but the rods turned to serpents. That wasn't a plague. All right, the rivers turned to blood was the first plague. Didn't kill anybody, but it, was pretty gross, I'm sure, and they made them so they was thirsty. The frogs didn't kill anybody. The flies and the lice, gross. Can you imagine all the lice and all the flies and and it's interesting too how I guess you could say there was mercy throughout also. Although, the frogs came out of the bloody river. Is that how that worked? Or did the river turn normal again and then the frogs came out? But then you think, then all the frogs died. Because then there was this lice in between. But then the flies, you'd think, would have taken care of the frogs that were dead. So the flies probably ate them, but also left lots of maggots. And okay, but then it gets more serious here. The murrain. Now, God's hand was touching man and animals and plant life and life. God was affecting life. And, the cattle was the first one that God took. And you know how the Egyptians revered their cows? So God was striking at the very heart of their religion, basically, also. And his heart was hardened. He didn't have anything to worship anymore, but he still was going to hold on. Then the boils. They were nasty, I'm sure, and I'm guessing they probably took some life, the older folks, I don't see how they could have probably, sickly people that were already sick. There were people dying. It's not recorded, but I would think they were. Now the hail comes. The hail is going to pulverize their food and kill more of their animals, different types of animals. And God give them mercy, warned them. And he that feared the word of the Lord among the servants of Pharaoh made his servants and his cattle flee into the houses. So God was showing mercy, giving them warning. They actually, a lot of them did get out of the field, but a lot of them didn't. So every beast and every herb of the field throughout the land. And now it mentions that not all the crops were gone. It says that the flax and the barley was smitten, for the barley was in the air, the flax was bolled. So that was wiped out. But the wheat and the rye were not smitten, for they were not grown up. So there was still something left. Until, of course, the next plague that we'll read about next.